Three, two, one. Wow, a tier list? What a creative and original idea, said our two commenters. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Baycast, the podcast where we talk about all things Michael Bay. I'm your host, Jacob,
Co-host Michael.
and this is a very special episode today. Since we already talked about and seen every Michael Bay movie, I figured we'd put our thoughts and list all these movies in the most just the best way possible, just on a tier list. And I am very excited about this one.
Not just any tier list, a tier list maker tier list.
Yeah, tier. I love tier makers with
How
your
all good
website.
content is founded
You
and
see,
created.
see those Walgreens ads. You see, love
Yeah,
them.
see, while we're watching this, as a fun game, you can check what interesting ads pop up.
Yeah, I guess
If the
we'll mention
screen
some.
enough isn't enough, though this is the first time we have a legit visual component because of what it is.
Fast diarrhea relief. Yeah,
So we figured we'd start in chronological order because the list is already in chronological order, and we'd slot them into these here 5 categories.
yeah. We definitely had some fun with these. So our topper list is amazing. The movies that are I would consider like objectively good and a good time as well. Then we have amusing but flawed, which are fun movies, but definitely have their faults. I would say. Um, then this is my personal favorite, the one I'm most proud of, Mid Bay.
He loves just putting mid into existing phrases.
Yeah,
Actually, if you've been watching more than one episode, you already know that. But this is cementing it as part of the activity.
yeah. So I guess this is like the ones that they're like fine. They can be a good time at parts, but they're just kind of like meh movies. Then not very good, which I'm assuming is where the largest percentage of the movies are going to be.
Just,
Just,
just bad.
just bad. And then this is Michael's biggest contribution, Bane of Our Existence, which is just the the absolute crap of Michael Bay's filmography.
Worst of the worst. I just saw that you put amazing, and I felt like I had to one up you. I tried. Whether or not I succeeded, it
It
doesn't
might
really
be
matter.
better, whatever. I digress. So yeah,
Also,
I guess we'll just start in chronological order, and we'll start with his first movie, Bad Boys, and I would say I would put this in the amusing but flawed category. What would you say?
yeah, I agree pretty much completely.
Yeah.
First of his doesn't show as many signs of his declining passion for making movies, but also isn't as off the rails as some of the middle ones. It's just a okay, mostly by the books police movie with a little bit of Michael Bay flair added to keep it interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It does have a pretty fun dichotomy between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Generally, like it does fall into like that like '90s cheese category, but generally most Michael Bay movies do, even past the '90s. Uh,
Especially past the
yeah,
90s.
yeah. Definitely some fun sequences. Definitely not as over the top as a lot of his movies, but is that really a criticism at this
It's not a
point?
bad place to start,
Yeah,
considering.
fun. It's kind of cute in comparison to some of the other things he
Yes.
does.
Oh, it's quaint.
Yeah,
I, I,
got
I guess I could say that, yeah.
got a bit of that trading places thing going on, but just with the girl character, uh, where they think that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are the other people. It,
If it didn't have the characters and the character dynamic, I would probably be putting it in the mid or maybe even not very good because it's essentially, as we said extensively in that first video months ago, a reasonably okay movie, elevated slightly in some ways and brought down in others by it being, music video director Michael Bay.
yeah, at the time, yeah, yeah, pretty good, or not pretty good, like okay, but definitely in the amusing but flawed.
Above mid, but not that
Good
much
time,
above mid.
goodish time. Yeah. Then we have The Rock, and I think we can all agree where this one's going.
Yeah, it's actually a semi decent action movie. Schlocky, yes, it is another cheesy action movie. It's a bombastic
Yeah.
cheesy action movie instead of a generic cheesy action movie, which is a lot more palatable
Yeah, I
to
would go
me.
above that and saying this is probably one of the best action movies of the '90s. It's just like extremely
It's
fun.
up
It's
there.
never boring. Has great lead by Nicolas Cage and supporting cast Sean Connery, or not even supporting cast, like other lead by Sean Connery and a good villain by Ed Harris. Yet never a dull moment. Uh, really got a pretty great early Hans Zimmer score, or not even early, he's the Lion King before that. But yeah, still, just a really great time.
Yeah,
I would
it's
say.
one of the part of the top tier is that there's I mean I'm for me at least probably one other maybe two other movies that I would call genuinely good on their own right and not just as oh that's Michael Bay, you
Mm-hmm.
know that's why it's good, that's why it's bad. It's a solid movie that has elements of his style, but everything's elevated compared to the first Bad Boys and some if you look like the second movie, The Rock has one of the better car chases he's ever done,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of weird to think about because he's been making movies for nearly 30 years.
Yeah, that is pretty odd. They just like never really top that. I mean, like, I guess
Maybe
in some
we'll
other
get
areas.
to like maybe Transformers 3, but I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that this movie is, without spoiling it, I guess this movie is gonna be hard to top because it's just the best parts of his style done well and
Oh, at once.
done at a time period where he's like not like big enough to like have like full control over a project and just make it really shitty, but also insert his styles in the best ways possible. Just make it a good time.
And it is a very good time. I
Mm-hmm.
put it up there with like I said, Face Off, Connie, or and kind of silly but still very enjoyable bombastic action movies.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is not something I would throw around lightly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess we'll move on to Armageddon now, and I guess I'd put this
And we hit
in
a wall.
the probably the
I'm gonna go
not
with not
very
very
good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think not very good is the best way to put it.
I know that like a
It
lot of people like this movie,
really
but I mean, I think like a lot of
is for
people
me.
grew up with it,
Well,
but
I guess that's well.
yeah,
I suppose I forgot the correlation of I grew up with it, therefore it is good. You know that fallacy,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's I don't know. You're more of a disaster movie guy, so if you want to take the lead on this compared
I
to other
do like
ones,
disaster, or I kind of like disaster movies. I watched a decent amount of Roland Emmerich movies, like Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow, and they can be a good time if done right. And like this isn't the worst one ever or anything, but like it's just like if you're making a disaster movie, I feel like I feel like characters are like actually like the people like think people go to these movies to like see, like the awesome or quote unquote awesome special effects and like the situation that the world is in. But I feel like characters are definitely a very important part of these movies because they're the ones that you're following throughout it and the ones that are going to save the world. So
see
you
if they'll
want
get
them to be
out how
likable.
they'll get out of the disaster.
Yes.
The
So
disaster is like the set piece but also the antagonist. So
yeah.
you need a protagonist to go up against it. Armageddon does this magical thing where it makes every lead unlikable in different ways that change throughout the movie. So it's not like as an example that I'd say it is at least better than is Godzilla, where
Sure.
everyone's unlikable in exceedingly boring, generic ways. In this, like you meet Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck's character, and they're poised against each other, and you're like, these guys are both assholes, and they don't become better. They, if anything, they get worse as the
Yeah.
movie goes on, but never stale. We went on about how like Steve Buscemi specifically is one of the only kind of likable characters, but he also doesn't feel cohesive.
Yeah.
Like
He's
everything good about this is completely diminished by some other force, like scope, special effects like shit, so it doesn't look good. Character development, they try, but since Michael Bay's so adamant that everyone be like rude because it's cool, they fail. And then the I guess the ticking clock element, it's there's like this time jumps in the disaster movie. Why would you even do that?
that's oh yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about it. Yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
think we
like
even really discussed that. But there's
yeah,
a time jump in like we need to get these guys ready, and then like 2 weeks pass. The point that's urgent.
yeah. I mean, like
I
I guess like
I don't
it's
know.
not like you'd want like a somewhat consistent. Yeah, like that having that big time jump is really just like kind of throws you off. And yeah, like it's just like not very entertaining. It's also like really long. For some reason, like I don't know why they do this, but like disaster movies are like almost always really fucking long. This one's over 2.5 hours. Uh, you, I guess it's to. I don't even have a good reason because I would say it's to develop the character situation, but they don't do that particularly well. So it's just you spend like more like an hour more than you should with these unlikable assholes. But yeah, it's
I
just
feel like that trend is also in part because Bay with this was one of the first major cracks at it, and Michael Bay makes really fucking long movies for no reason.
true. But even like something
I
like
think it might be
Independence Day
incidental.
is like which I consider to be a pretty okay movie is like almost 2.5 hours long. Same thing with
Yeah,
like
yeah,
same thing with like Moonfall, which is like which is like came out like, earlier this year, but still it's just like a
same
weird
idea.
consistency with uh disaster movies just being really fucking long. But anyway, yeah, pretty bad movie, pretty bad story, really bad love story. I think
Yeah, it's asinine.
yeah, we said in the previous video that they included it because Titanic came out I believe the year before, so that he
No, oh yeah, yes, okay, sorry, yeah. I had a moment because I'm like, yeah, you added that in this, but then we're getting to the next movie, which about Titanic.
yeah uh so yeah I would just say we put this in not very good. Yeah, not very good. You want to move on to Pearl Harbor now?
I guess we have to.
uh yeah, yep.
Yep. The parts of Armageddon that we found most tiresome were the elements that Michael Bay added very late in development to catch up with the success of Titanic. And his next movie is made entirely to try and catch up to the success of Titanic. And it ends up being one of the most, it's on several levels blasphemous.
It's
Historically, certainly. Like,
okay.
what
I'm
do you
not
have to say?
asking for like an 100% accurate depiction of Pearl Harbor or World War II, because obviously you can have an entertaining movie, make a or even good movie out of it. Uh, but this movie, even with its inaccuracies, is so fucking boring, so long, so poorly written slash acted. It's just like unbatted to almost every single degree.
Yeah. I I know why Michael Bay wanted this to exist, but I don't know why, at this point, with his three movies, action director Michael Bay decided to make a movie about Pearl Harbor that's 99% romance.
Yeah, and one of the
The
worst
character,
romances I've seen in the motion picture.
absolutely. Like, personally, Armageddon's romance is asinine. It's just worse. It's got Ben Affleck in it, so this is you can compare them pretty easily. And
Mm,
Armageddon, the love story was like two cliches falling in love because Michael Bay decided they needed to be. This movie hinges on the love story, and they're not even really. I mean, I guess they are cliches, but they're not notable. You can't be like, oh, Ben Affleck's character is such a like this from this movie, or the other fucking guy. Everyone feels equally uninteresting, which for a
very true.
character like a 3 hour character piece, that's what it's supposed to be. A character like almost a character study.
It shouldn't
Honestly,
be, but it is.
it shouldn't be, but it tried to be and wasn't. That's the best part. It ended up not being what it wanted to be, which you think would be good, but in its the wake of its fucking cataclysmic failure, it just ends up being a waste of time.
It's
A
so
waste of
bad.
a lot of time.
Yeah, fucking too much. I hope if I get why long movies need to exist. There are a lot of really great long movies. This is one of the worst examples of how to make your movie long. Just so
Yeah.
much padding, so fucking boring. I cannot
I,
state how boring this movie is.
I feel like this movie could have been okay, not great, but okay if it was just a show. Because they clearly wanted this to be a long, character driven epic leading up to and quickly dealing with the fallout of the Pearl Harbor attacks. But
Mhm.
they're like, nah, Michael Bay, I make movies. God knows how long this movie once was. Think of what they had to
Oh my
cut.
god, it's true. The movie's probably like
That could have been a show. It would have been a bad show, but it would have been something.
yeah. Oh my god. I don't know. I mean, I guess I knew what he was thinking, but like he was thinking
We
very
all know
poorly.
what he was
Yeah,
thinking, but it's everything's wrong.
yeah. This is it's one of the worst war movies I've ever seen. One of the worst romances I've ever seen, and just all around really shitty movie, and one of Michael Bay's worst.
It's close with a few, but
Yeah.
it definitely takes its place at that bottom tier
Mm.
comfortably.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, on a lighter note, we have Bad Boys 2, and I'm torn between either amazing or amusing but flawed. Because I really like this movie, but that being said,
I
it is pretty flawed.
I enjoy this movie a lot more than the first one, and much more than most of his filmography. But it might be more stupid and compromised, like from a technical and writing level, than the first. So
Yes.
I think I would put it in the same tier, even though prefacing with we enjoy it a lot more and think it's one of the movies of his you should watch. Like if you're like, oh, Michael Bay, I haven't seen anything by him. This is probably the best gateway drug because it encapsulates all the good and all the bad.
Yeah. This. I guess I'll throw it in there. I'll put it above the first one now.
Yeah, make sure it's at the top of that tier
Yeah.
because
Yeah. This
it
movie.
is the. Hmm.
It's really stupid. There's so many like really stupid scenes in this movie. Uh, i.e. the rats fucking comes to mind. Pretty
You remember
quickly.
that a lot more than I remember all the police stuff and the action, and you're like, rats fucking.
I mean, no, obviously the action's great. There's like it has some of the. I would say the card in this movie might top The Rock. I mean, it's really bombastic over the top. Also, this movie
They're
had a
both good.
budget over like 100 million more than the first movie, so like he fucking used that, and he used it pretty well in my opinion. Uh,
The camera work, especially with some of those action scenes, like the haha spin around, like the classic Michael Bay shot.
love the
Now
spin around.
starred in this movie, and it's done really well. And unlike the other movies it's in, it's fairly purposeful. There's a lot of good technical stuff going on here, and the writing is, I say to say because it's part of the tier name. It's amusing. It's not intellectually stimulating. It's funny, sometimes almost clever, which is a big deal. Almost clever is a really fucking high
Yeah,
peak for Bay.
yeah, his IQ raises
And
to like 5 from like 2. Hey, sorry about that. My Wi-Fi was being not great. So yeah, what were you saying about Bad Boys, Michael?
just generally that we're putting it in the tier below highest, which did you pull up the tier list figure? Um
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay,
fair
actually,
enough.
wait,
No,
can
no,
we?
it's been a bitch and a half of a day.
Yeah,
Michael Bay's been trying to shut us down. We've been fighting back. It's been a serious endeavor.
yeah.
But putting it in the second highest seems like, oh, it's only an okay one of his, but it's probably one of his best if you look at it as a Michael Bay movie, but still only all right if you look at it as a quote unquote real movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I
I
would
think it's
guess
a fair thing.
in my opinion, like it's like pretty like not great, but like at the same time, it's like it is almost for me. It's almost a guilty pleasure in that it's just really stupid but really fun, and sometimes that's all you need.
All it needs to be. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's all it needs to be, and that's sometimes all you need.
yeah. Okay. Now going to the island. Um,
Mid.
yeah, mid. So at first I was like, maybe you like it more than I do, and but no, it's pretty mid. Uh,
It's probably not just one of the most quote unquote mid of Michael Bay's movies. It's one of the most quote unquote mid movies I've ever seen.
yeah, it's
It's
not.
good sci-fi premise, kind of wasted in the third, give or take,
Mm,
and then it becomes a completely standard movie.
yeah. Um, I feel like this is the most not Michael Bay, at least in terms of premise. Like, it's like weird, like almost like if you've seen like like George Lucas's THX 1138. It's like kind of similar to that in its plot, but like it doesn't really. So like the first like third, it's like, oh, this is like a kind of interesting sci-fi premise, and then like it devolves like after that into a pretty generic, expensive action movie. Uh, and definitely on a lower echelon to Bad Boys 2 or The Rock. Uh, Nothing super memorable, other than a pretty funny performance by Steve Buscemi. Um,
The second Ewan McGregor is pretty phenomenal.
yeah, oh yeah.
Those
Second
those those
Pittsburgh.
scenes are really enjoyable. But besides like those two characters, one thing we say that can work for and against Michael Bay is how much he does or doesn't inject his personality into his work. And this has no personality of anyone's kind,
Mm-hmm.
except for a little bit of the camera work. I guess some of the lighting. But it looks more like a normal mid 2000s action movie than does a mid 2000s Michael Bay movie. Because
Yeah,
we'll
I
see in
agree.
Transformers, that movie looks pretty distinct.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, nothing great, nothing memorable. It's not. I wasn't offended or anything by it. Uh,
No, no.
I enjoyed seeing Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, there was some
But
like,
these middle ones, there's not much to
yeah,
talk about.
yeah, nothing great. Yeah. So I guess we'll move on to, I guess, the movie's best known for now, Transformers. For me, I would probably put it in like mid Bay, but I think I would probably move it up for you because I know you like this movie a lot.
I I would put it amusing but flawed, but I'd also put it at the bottom of that tier,
Yeah,
frankly.
I could
It's
settle on that.
it's in itself like a disaster invasion sort of movie. It's treated with an app with probably too much seriousness for being an adaptation of Transformers. But there's also elements that don't take itself nearly as seriously that kind of pull me back,
Hmm.
like the Anthony Anderson Hacker character, John Turturro Simmons. The movie starts really serious and kind of gradually tapers off and becomes a little sillier, but not going to say not self-aware. This movie is not self-aware,
Yeah,
but it
not at
does
all.
become more, I guess, I don't know. Casual isn't the word, but it eases up a bit on these are serious alien threats. By the time they show up and are introduced, it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Technically, outside of color grading, technically this movie is really fucking good.
Yeah,
Shot pretty
especially for the
well,
time.
and and the visual effects, a lot of them rival them in the later movies, which I mean they all have comparable budgets, but still higher than this. All
Yeah.
did for this movie of over 10 plus it's 15 years ago. 15-year anniversary I think is coming up in a few days. If it hasn't already,
Yeah, almost
or maybe
legal.
it's a month. I don't know.
Woohoo!
I'm thinking of the, I'm not, I know in a few days is the Fathom event. I think the actual anniversary is July,
Are we
but
going to that?
I don't know. I'll have to decide. I would do that, but also
Maybe I'll have to
I,
think
I
about that.
yeah, but
But yeah,
you can tell I'm a fucking unhinged son of a bitch if I'm even entertaining that idea.
yeah.
But
Well, some of yeah, I would, as you're saying, like some of the movies were like some of the later Transformers movies have like pretty decent effects, even if the quality of them is even if the quality of the movies themselves are worse. I feel like now this one was probably the most impressive now and for the time. It's just like it just looks well. The look of the Transformers is really fucking good, and the way and like the transforming, I don't even know how long that took to process or make or whatever. But like, yeah, it's a really solid movie technically. Script, yeah, nothing too great. It's a
nothing
pretty
too awful either. It's
true.
like standard script, which is impressive for Bay. Like we said, usually he doesn't get out. He doesn't get over just aptly bad
Yeah,
in terms of the script departments. But this movie's script is, I don't know, hypothetically realistic. I guess I don't know.
I
It's a weird
guess
take on
if
Transformers where well, I'm saying compared to, oh my God, the Autobots Decepticons are here. They're fighting for our planet. Oh shit! They're actually like, oh, there are aliens. These could want to kill us,
yeah,
and then some of them do. You know?
I guess if uh robots that could turn into cars actually came down on this planet. It's not the most unrealistic take Michael Bay could have
Yeah,
taken.
by realistic, I meant realistic in the same way you see like draw like this will be Pikachu with real life graphics, like that kind of realistic. Not like it would really look like, but just taking something and adapting it kind of at face value.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which is, I guess, one of the strengths of this movie because it is a fairly effective. It's not an effective conspiracy, but the movie it takes itself seriously enough that you believe the conspiracy. Not believe. Fuck. It sounds incomprehensible. But what I'm trying to say is the movie takes itself seriously enough that you can understand why the characters are acting the way they are most of the time,
Hmm.
and you believe that the Transformers could be threats. I think that's probably more what I meant.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the movie is like has some really dumb moments. Sam's parents are really annoying, but it's not as bad as some of as the sequel. Uh, yeah, there's some like really odd humor, like Bulby pissing on John Turturro or whatever. But for what it is,
Was memorable.
it was memorable and pretty enjoyable.
So it's amusing, but flawed.
Yeah,
Oh, I
there we
love that
go.
tier.
Now let's move on to its much inferior sequel, or Revenge of the Fallen. Not very
Not
good, I
very
would
good, I would
say.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Um.
it it is the epitome of the dumb Michael Bay movie. But for some reason, I can't pull myself to despise it as much as the things going in the bottom tier. I mean, like stuff like the twins are pretty fucking rough, but the
Yeah.
rest of it at least takes a well. The first movie had both the benefit and issue of being super serious. Second movie has the usually not a benefit, usually issue of taking itself like of being too, whoop de doo,
Yeah.
silly,
And the movie's a very big
SpongeBob.
tonal problem because like some of it's like
Yeah,
just as some of it is like just as quote unquote serious with like the military jargon and whatever, and then you have like fucking Sam like freaking the
anything with
fuck
Sam
out
in
in classroom.
college,
Yeah, the
literally any
college
of it.
part is just insane, and
That is
it's hard to
painful.
put to words. Like,
Like it's a fever dream, but it's also the first third of the movie.
yeah, uh,
The
in
rest of
some
it is
ways,
kind of uninteresting, but not. I don't know. I feel like vaguely uninteresting, but with some amusing stuff. Versus the first third being actively shitty, probably brings it down to not very good. It evens out somewhere.
yeah. When you get to Egypt, it gets pretty boring. But like then like, but there, I'm not gonna say the movie doesn't have its moments because there is like some good fights that are pretty much on par with the first movie. Um, those are pretty much the most of the good moments of the movie.
Yeah, most of the good moments are the parts where robots are fighting, which I mean, hey, that's something, I
Yeah.
guess.
Fake
I
out Optimus death.
uh,
Good stuff.
they keep doing it. They've never stopped doing that. He died like 5 times before this movie, and he's died like 3 times since. Can't keep this fucker alive.
Can't keep getting away with it.
But it
And
also
again,
brings this movie specifically with a tonal problem. It brings forth the question of who is this actually for? Most of the population of the viewers are kids, but kids shouldn't be watching most of this.
yeah,
Any of the human stuff. And the robots fighting are presented as robot beings with the kinds of like inner workings of humans. So when Optimus cuts off an arm, it's not like, you got my arm, he puts it back on. Well, actually, that does happen, fuck. But like most of the time, Optimus cuts someone's arm off and they just explode.
yeah.
And with
If
the,
this
with the
movie
tonal issue,
was a fight scenes between people, it would be like rated X.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, all these movies are kind of like, I mean, that's the first movie. Like a guy gets beheaded, a guy gets ripped in half, but it's not like this or especially 3 or 5 where it's like fucking gory.
yeah,
And like so like you want to see Optimus Prime, I want to see Optimus Prime on the big screen, and then he just rips someone's face off. He
yeah.
literally give me your face, and then he crunches his heart in front of him. Like that's fucked up, man. And
Hmm.
then the humor, it's meant to. I think it's mostly meant to cater to that like prepubescent audience of boys that Bad Boys 2 kind of perfectly nails. but in trying to get that demographic, it comes off as either actually offensive or trying too hard. So it fails both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that for the
This
most part.
movie just doesn't have much going for it.
Yeah, not
Even as
super.
a stupid Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, not super. I don't ever want to watch this movie again. Unlike a lot of, unlike the first one or any of, or like some of the other Michael Bay movies. It's just like not very good, but like I didn't. I guess I didn't hate myself watching it like some of his other films.
No. It keep something will happen to be like, oh, that's kind of interesting, or that's slightly funny, which I can, which we can say above some of his other outings.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell, I don't know about you. I would put it above Armageddon.
Um, I probably wouldn't, but oh, how about this? When we finish the tier list, we'll like discuss like where it should go like within the tier.
Okay,
So
yeah,
we'll
just
do
have
that.
just have them in the tiers. Save that for later. Doing the mini
Yeah.
discussions. All right, that's fair enough.
Okay. Now we have Transformers: Dark of the Moon, and I would probably put this one in the mid Kolbe category.
That's
What do you
fine.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I
Definitely.
defended this movie, I'm not going to call it good.
Yeah, definitely an improvement over the first one. I kind of consider the first three Transformers
In
movies to
second,
be like the most expensive and bombastic coming of age story of all time for like Sam Wickie's character, because like you see him go from adolescence and high school to adulthood with like his job and like new girlfriend or whatever, and yeah, well, it's all like the other like plot lines revolve around aliens wanting to kill and take over the planet with like Cybertron, whatever bullshit. It is a coming of age story at the end of the day, and you know what? That's a okay by me. You feel me?
yeah. I mean, as a conclusion to the trilogy, it both combines a lot of the stupid shit of the first two movies, like the Transformers had a hand in history, and also like there's the military and stuff. But also, I feel like this is my favorite of the five, probably. But I'm not going to call it better than one. What I will say is that it gets, for better or for worse, it gets the the I guess the feeling, the aura is a dumbass word. It the idea of Transformers is robots that turn into cars from a different planet. That's fucking ridiculous. This movie begins at least to present that as what it is. The first movie, oh, definitely. The second movie, to an extent. This movie, not very much. Doesn't go like, oh man, they're just like these alien invade. No, they're Transformers. People call them by what they're called.
Hmm.
They have slightly more defined designs and colors compared to, especially the first movie, but probably the second too. There's a part in this movie where where Sam's girlfriend just talks to Megatron. That would never have happened in the other two movies. Oh, actually, no, it totally did. But
Wait,
like,
didn't
what I
Megan
mean
Fox
is the
talk
way
to
it's
him a couple of times?
talk to Megatron, but that was during his interrogation.
Okay.
But what I mean is this movie has it's the second one's tonal inconsistency like really fucking damages it because it's trying to be super serious but also a wacky like boner comedy. This movie is just wacky. Like Sam is an insane person, and the movie doesn't try to hide that anymore. The Transformers are weird and dumb, and they present it more as that. I think I like this one more than the others, not because it's written any better, because it's up there the first in being a fine story. It's weirdly, I think of the five, it's the easiest to follow on a
Yeah,
fresh
maybe.
watch.
I would say so because
I mean, it'd be like oh, the moon landing, but it's the everyone says things very clearly and
it's the
concisely, which
most
I mean, it's
streamlined, I guess.
stupid. I
Um,
guess that's why. I think I said before I like this the most because it feels the most like an episode of one of the however many shows, which are in themselves not great, but it felt truer. Like
mhm.
that was the word I was fishing for. Truer.
That's a good way to put it. Also the
Well, that's a good way to
final,
put it for someone insane who has
yeah,
Transformers everywhere.
the yeah, the final action scene, which is like over an hour of the movie. It's very impressive, I guess I would say. It also very much looked similar to the 2012 Avengers movie, which came out a year after. So I don't know if like Joss Whedon like took inspiration from Michael Bay or whatever. But yeah, it was very
Hilarious idea.
yeah, but it was very over the top and pretty impressive, I guess. Well, I already said impressive, but yeah, but like a lot of shit was going on, and it didn't look the worst. It wasn't terrible, I would say. I would say this movie's like it's kind of bad, but like it's like enjoyable. It's fairly enjoyable for most of it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the on the amusing but flawed scale. It's about as amusing as the first, but it's more flawed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So that's why we ended at mid. It's much I would consider it a more worthwhile watch than the island, but I can't rate it higher.
yeah.
You know.
We'll move the tiers at the end. By the way, since the Wi-Fi cut out, we were stuck on the Drivewise ad. So enjoy looking at Joe Booker for the next however many minutes this goes on.
Oh, I thought it just didn't change. Damn.
I mean, I could refresh the page, but like, why would I do that?
Don't bother. No,
Yeah.
it'll refresh the thing. We don't want to
Actually, I
undo
don't
our
think it
view.
will. I think they save, but like, I don't know. Up to you. Up to you, I guess.
No,
All right, whatever.
wishful thinking.
Uh,
Right,
now
so
now we're
cross the
on
bridge
to
if it resets and get there.
yeah. Okay, whatever. Now we're on to Pain and Gain, and you know what? I think I'll put this in the basing. I think I would.
I wholly agree.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite of his movies.
Really? I mean,
I
it's not
really
my
do.
favorite, but like, I still do like this movie.
The Rock is a movie that's good enough that you can forget it's Michael Bay. Pain and Gain is a movie that I think is good enough to be considered like actually good, but it's a lot of that is because it's Michael Bay. It's like the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just respect it more.
I agree. This movie probably has the best writing, I would say, out of any of the Michael Bay movies. But that's because they got like the same guys who like I think they wrote like Avengers, like Infinity War and Endgame. So pretty interesting. I guess catalog, I would say. But yeah, this movie's like a fairly clever commentary on the American dream as well. Uh, with like really funny characters who like don't who like who are both like really amusing, but they're also like really bad people in general. Uh, yeah. What do you think?
I also like to add that this movie, we concluded, I guess this is an interpretation technically, that it is a satire on the a sort of like musclehead will do anything for fame and money kind of demographic,
Mm-hmm.
which is very much the opposite of what most people think Michael Bay values
Yeah.
as like a filmmaker. I mean, hell, look at the movies after this. It is the like Mark Wahlberg as a character pretty similar to this movie, but without the evident self-awareness or wit that this movie
Yeah.
brings.
But romanticized. Literally a year later, they made like the exact opposite type of like movie this is.
Yeah, and I guess you can say maybe this is a fluke, maybe a mistake, but he still made it.
Yeah. And,
And yeah, you can tell it's him, but it's what I'm looking for. It's completely opposed to so much of the stigma around the director, and yet manages to be a more enjoyable movie than most of the things that fall into that
yeah, exactly.
stigma.
I'm pretty sure this is either his second lowest budget movie or lowest budget movie behind Bad Boys, the first one, and it's mostly a drama or drama comedy, I would say, as opposed to an action movie.
It's like it's a black comedy with some drama elements. I think.
Yeah, but like I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because he like directs it in like a pretty entertaining way, and you get to like really know and I guess quote unquote like the characters.
No, if you get to know, you don't need
Yeah,
to go beyond that because
yeah,
the movie makes it clear that even the best of them are kind of
yeah. They're just like
scum,
bad people.
right? Yeah,
um,
exactly. It's abundantly clear. Even the Rock's character is meant to be the closest to a moral compass. Gets corrupted and then is still complacent in their crimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. What else is there to say about? I mean, I just enjoy this movie. It's not like I mean, like I was gonna say like it's not great or anything. But you know what? It might be the one of the closest things that Michael Bay has to great. It's like I would say it's like
Yeah,
pretty good.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. When we say amazing, we don't mean like these are fucking 10 out of 10 movies. We just mean they're like I would say The Rock and Pain and Gain are like a 7 out of 10 each for different
Yeah.
reasons.
They're just like
But
they're the closest
that's
thing to
still
Michael Bay.
amazing for Bay.
Yeah, the closest thing to good that
Dude
he's
made
he's
Pearl
made.
Harbor.
Yeah. Yeah, just good stuff. And now for Transformers 4.
Yeah, all of the issues that people love to bring up with the Transformers movies, notably the first three, are just dialed up to like 25 with this fucking movie.
Yeah, just really, really awful. Not as pretty much not like a single good thing about it. Even like
It's
the
almost
effects are just like I mean like they're
far
not
worse than three.
yeah, they're I mean like they themselves aren't bad, just like the way that they're executed is just like makes them like very unappealing to watch.
Yeah, the other movies, especially the first one, but to an extent the other two, have the characters that turn into wacky licensed vehicles, but they blend decently well into the surroundings because of all the ILM work with like the shading, the crusting to make them look like actually weathered. So even though they are essentially toys walking around, a version of our planet, they don't look as much like it. In four especially, but kind of five as well. The characters look like they're fucking toys. They look like it's weird to explain to someone who's just seen the clip, like, oh, it looks great. I really imagine the truck is punching the car. But like, it's after watching all of them, and especially I've seen the first three a lot, and at this point, the latter few a few times. It's it's like a passive offense that everything is written worse, yeah, but just looks worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just bet. I do think the even beyond that, the worst thing about this movie is its characters. It has some of the worst characters I've ever seen in a Michael Bay movie, let alone or just a movie in general. I would say.
Movie.
Yeah, Cade
You're giving
Yeager.
Armageddon
Yeah,
shit?
Cade Yeager is one of the worst protagonists in cinematic history. Perhaps he's incompetent, really annoying, and racist. I guess I would say.
No
And
question mark.
yeah,
Racist.
it just racist. I think the scene with also this the scene where where his daughter's boyfriend tells them that tells them that her relationship that their relationship is okay even though he's 20 and she is 17 or 16 or whatever. It's okay to do the Romeo and Juliet law. It's one of the worst fucking scenes I've seen in a movie. I don't even think I'm not even sure if that's legal. I'm pretty sure they just included that because like, oh no, it's okay. I'm pretty sure it's not even legal even where they are. But I digress. Uh, yeah,
I
this is
feel
still
like it
really
was
terrible.
some real sick screenwriter like my son is dating a 17-year-old. I need audiences to see this is okay.
Yeah,
Like some
maybe.
sick fuck, some like hunchback of Notre Dame incel man or something. Because there's no explanation. Like, is it if it's supposed to be funny? There's essentially no context outside of maybe like a super black comedy, like Beyond Pain and Gain, where that
Hmm.
scene can be even kind of funny, and it's certainly not a movie about fucking multicolored robots. Right?
Yeah, yeah. It just
This movie is terrible in ways that we've tried to explain. Our fucking review trying to dissect this is as long as some of his first movies because we're just trying to fucking wrap our heads around anything in it.
yeah, it's just fucking awful in pretty much every way. Like I can't
Yeah,
really think of something that's really good about this movie. It might be worse than Pearl Harbor. It's definitely I think
like
those two are definitely the ones that are competing today. Yeah.
devil's advocate for the worst of the worst.
Yeah, Devil's
You're
Advocate. I
saying?
was yeah.
No, no, no. I'm saying when I was saying devil's advocate, the theoretical. I've seen people say good things about this movie, which baffles me, and those things mostly go down to there's more of the robots. The robots have more personality that they're in it more. I don't think that matters. They do equally as little. Secondly, every character is a stereotype in every movie. They're just more pronounced stereotypes in this one. Thirdly, the Sam growing up was like it bogged down the other movies when you're watching them, but it's also fucking hilarious to talk about.
Yeah.
We think of Transformers 2. We don't think of the fucking seven, eight construction vehicle robots sucking up sand. We think of like Sam fucking fake vomiting after the Decepticon gets into his bed, or the third movie, him kicking the fucking fake Bumblebee, because it's fucking hilarious to talk about.
Yeah, there's none of that in
It's
this
so
movie.
out of place. But in this movie, they tried making a more relatable protagonist, which is wrong. Because Sam is relatable to most Transformers fans. That he's a man child. He's a moron. He should never date anyone, and he should go to hell. Which is the same for all Transformers fans. But Cade Yeager is meant to be relatable to the dads that they assume are watching these movies because they're with their sons. But it's like you just we said it in the video. It's just the fucking Bruce Willis character from Armageddon, but worse. And that guy sucks.
Yeah, the the plot line between him and his daughter and her boyfriend are pretty similar in this movie actually, and it is definitely amplified in a the creepiness factor and b just like the poor execution of it. It's just a really shitty romance all around and just shitty characters. Yeah, just like not good at all.
There's no winning with this one.
Nope. It just sucks. Moving on. I'm done.
All right.
13 hours.
Let's
Seer Soldiers of Benghazi. Um, Mid Kobe, I would probably say.
it's yeah, it's I think the most middle of the road of his. I said the island might be. The island has like promises of premise. This is just a war movie.
Yeah, and a
It's
pretty boring one.
fine.
Yeah, it's
Action is. We will say this is technically one of his best, which is weird.
mhm.
Really weird to think about. That
It's a
like
good
camera
looking
work,
movie. Yeah,
lighting. It's just about a bunch of identical looking bearded white guys in military uniforms protecting a smaller unbearded white guy from insurgents and terrorists. That's it. That's the whole movie.
yeah. There's a lot of downtime in this movie that's just like really boring, and also I think that they complicate the plot a bit too much because like if you boil it down to it, it is fairly simple. They have like this like 40-minute like prologue before like what like the shit actually starts going down, and it's like not particularly entertaining. Uh, not I guess like not movies don't have to be entertaining or anything, or like some movies don't have to be, but like I feel like Bay as a director is a movie who's kind of is a Bay as a director is someone who's like really wants to entertain our audience, and in my opinion, he didn't do a particularly good job with this movie.
Yeah, it's for as you've gone on about. It's for the American sniper lone survivor crowd. It
Mm-hmm.
makes a quick buck off of this is people fighting for our country,
Even then, I would
and
say like American Sniper is a more entertaining movie than this.
probably
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's in the same way that Pearl Harbor was created for
yeah,
like the
true.
Titanic romance crowd. This was created for that crowd. To be fair, a lot of those movies came out around this one, a
True.
little before. I would say. I think Lone Survivor and American Sniper were both like early 2010s. This is like mid 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little late to the party, but I mean, he showed up, I guess.
I mean, I guess you'd argue Top Gun Maverick is kind of like a movie like that now, and that's doing very well. But
Well,
again, that
that's fucking planes and Tom Cruise
yeah,
still an insane
yeah,
person.
but again, that movie is like really. I've seen it. That movie is like really entertaining and fun. Unlike this movie. Uh,
Yeah, movies can be for a demographic or crowd and still be good, not only in their own right, but to other demographics.
yeah, for sure.
we didn't find much because we're not fucking 40-year-old like I love my country like dads. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, like
I'm
that
sorry
they
if you
might
really
you
love
might
this
find
movie.
something in this that we don't, but we don't.
Yeah, I mean there are stuff I like, just boring and not super interesting. And there's a reason why this episode was only like half an hour long. So yeah,
And there's not much to cling on to.
pretty mid. Um, Transformers last night. Where do you want to put this?
Where do I think I know where you based off of that, I think you want to put it in Bane of Our Existence, but I would put it not very good because this movie is hysterical.
Um, yeah,
Okay,
I'll
sorry.
throw you a bone here. I'll throw it in not very good. This
I
movie is really
it
funny.
is
Yeah,
it's unintentionally funny, which is more than I can say about the other four, like most of the time.
yeah,
This movie is so fucking weird and off the rails and absurd in how dumb it is that it is more consistently entertaining than two, than four, and at some points, one and three. It's we're putting it in not very good, not because it's as bad as Pearl Harbor and Transformers. It's just not as offensive.
yeah.
Like,
I think Anthony Hopkins alone like keeps this movie from going to Bane of Our Existence because he like almost single
so
handedly
fucking good.
saves a good chunk of this movie. Um, yeah,
Yeah, this is barely a Transformers movie. It's essentially an Arthurian legend, like fantasy movie
yeah.
that Michael Bay fucking pasted Transformer models into.
Hmm. Honestly, the beginning, like the first like 10 or 15 minutes when they're in like the Middle
A
Ages and they
sequel
have
to
that part.
four.
Yeah, I think that part looks really good, and it makes me like wonder what would happen if they like actually made like a medieval epic movie. But I digress.
They
Movies,
didn't feel obligated to make a Transformers movie.
yeah, um, yeah. This movie's really stupid. Um, but like it's definitely a little more endearing than four was, and definitely two. Um, it has like some ideas I kind of like Isabella Merced
Really?
like being like I guess Kate Yeager's uh but
Surrogate other
surrogate,
daughter.
but like again that's not very well executed because he just like leaves like a day after he meets her, so like it
Yeah,
doesn't really count. Yeah,
Cogman shows up. Oh, fuck you
I do
guys.
kind of
Fuck
like
all the other
Cogman.
Autobots.
I think he's the Transformer who gets the most screen time out of anyone in this movie, and maybe some of the
He's
other movies as well.
essentially a human. He's
Yeah,
essentially a human character. That's why.
yeah. Um.
Also, aspect ratio.
Oh my god, the fucking aspect
Nauseating,
ratio.
hysterical, magical.
It just
It,
keeps
it,
switching. It just
it
keeps
never
switching.
stops.
It's so bad.
I wonder what Chris Nolan would think of this.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I wonder what
I mean,
Spielberg
camera
thinks of this one,
wise.
considering
I mean,
he
I mean,
considering he
camera
produced it.
wise.
That's true. Probably not too highly. Uh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
someone did this. Someone did the aspect ratio change more than me. Impossible.
yeah.
uh,
Um,
we had a lot to say in the official video,
yeah,
so I got a lot about the specifics. But like big picture, this movie is really fucking hard to talk about.
yeah. So I guess go
It's
check
so
out
over the
that one
place.
if you want to hear more thoughts.
I mean, I guess you can check out all of them, but like if you're going to choose one, this one is one of the strangest movies to describe. So I guess that would be the most inherently amusing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. Okay. Now moving on
Almost
to
at the end.
Six Underground. I would also put this one in not very good. If you would, do you agree?
Hmm. I guess I was thinking of putting it in mid, but I can see both
I
ways.
think in concept, like it's mid, or even it could be amusing but flawed. But I think just like while I consider the islands like the concept to be the least Michael Bay part, I consider like the actual like feel of this movie to be the least Michael Bay movie. It's just like it's really bland
Definitely,
and
it's sterile.
yeah, it's not other than like the first like 20 minutes, which does I will admit does have a pretty cool car chase in it. It is very
Over budget
pretty boring and not and the characters
and
which are just
confusing.
yeah the characters are just fucking named after numbers, but like that, but like, that doesn't matter. There's not very good characters either. And yeah, the plot of this movie is really simple if you boil down to it. But like some other Michael Bay movies, it's just overcomplicated by the pacing and editing and how they tell the story, and it's just not very good.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's fair. I think I'll say, reminiscing on the, like, if you were to look, this is one of the most memorable things in the bottom of the list because of like a handful of moments. But as a complete package, yeah, it's definitely not very good.
Yeah, just,
Like the THX shit, funny as hell. Car chase, genuinely interesting, exciting. I don't know. Fun, maybe. Interesting,
yeah,
yes.
interesting.
The finale, theoretically cool. Like it's not the worst, but it is, I would say, about on par with a lot of the other generic Netflix action movies. And it
Yeah,
doesn't feel that, like you said, the fact doesn't feel a lot like Michael Bay movie is jarring. And if anything, if he put more of his style into it, it would probably be worse, but it would most likely be more entertaining.
true. Yeah, I agree.
But it's just in this awkward limbo. I'd
Yeah.
also like to bring up something that I never really considered. That this feels so little like a Michael Bay movie that there should be something to replace it. I think the 2010 movie The Losers is the perfect movie to replace this
Yeah,
as part of Michael Bay's
I haven't
filmography.
seen that, but I know you really like that movie,
There's I don't know if I like that movie, but
or
I love
quote
that
unquote
movie.
like.
I think it is so fucking Michael Bay that it deserves to have an episode.
Okay. I we will make that happen. I'll just have to rewatch it or watch it in the first place. But yeah, I'm down to watch that because it is something I did kind of watch for a while because of Chris Evans, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I'll definitely watch that at some point. But yeah, I digress. I think I said I digress
People
quote unquote
interested.
a lot of times this episode, but I digress quote
That's
unquote.
okay. I say quote unquote a lot of times.
Yeah. Uh, ready to
The
move on
last
to
one
the most controversial of our
contested of
picks.
ours.
Yeah. I mean, mm, you know, I don't know where I want to settle. Okay, where would you put it? Where would you put it first?
I hate to say it, I'd put it in mid.
I would because like I would probably to me it's probably like my second or third favorite Michael Bay movie. But can we settle on like a lower tier amusing but flawed?
I I thought about entertaining. I can put it up there for the time being. I, I the other things that amusing but flawed. There's some sense of fun or wonderment. Ambulance is a movie that I did not find fun, but cannot fully bring to say was like a drain.
I
If
thought
there
it was
was a
Rainbow.
tier between amusing but flawed and Midco Bay, I would put it there
Do
for sure.
you want to? Do you want to end ambulance tier?
Ambulance tier,
Yeah.
yes.
Uh. Fuck.
Fuck yeah.
Ambulance tier.
You added a second tier.
Uh, yeah, ambulance tier.
I am okay with that.
I do it. Oh shit!
Oh,
Fuck.
you've made three tiers and none of
Yeah.
them are ambulance. Ah,
The
classic
one that
tier
was.
creator.
Oh, but I'm okay.
It ate the
It ate the other
it ate
one. God damn it. Fuck. Hold on. Okay. Wait. Wait. No, this is fine. 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 No, this is fine.
I don't know why you didn't just use that as an opportunity to make the top tier ambulance and every other tier below ambulance.
Um.
Amazing ambulance. We're so
Yeah.
close. Edit label text. You,
I'll.
you can
I'll.
do
I'll
it the second list.
wait. Wait.
Ah,
I think so. I think we'll put it in between. Oh wait, it's still ambulance. Wait, what? Oh my god, I hate myself.
the ambulance.
Okay. I
Yeah,
guess
we
we'll just
fucking
change some of
go.
the colors to make it look nicer.
We did it.
Now that our tier list is fully created. Here, I'll make it rainbow for Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, y'all.
Every Pride Month by Michael Bay. And Ambulance does have a married couple of
Yeah.
its men. That's inclusive for Bay, I think.
Why does
Maybe.
this one just say Michael Bay? Oh, I forgot I wrote that down.
Why does this one say Michael Bay?
Okay,
Fucking
wait.
mental
We're
breakdown.
talking about ambulance. We're talking about ambulance.
Ambulance. Refocus.
Um. So yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. I think it's like pretty. I think it's pretty fun. It has probably some of the best characters in the Michael Bay movie. Definitely is the best female character in Michael Bay movie. I would say. Um. I think it's a simple concept executed pretty well, and well, I think you could cut like a few minutes off this movie. I think for the most part, like what's aiming to do, I think it's pretty much succeeds in. You?
We'll concur on a few points. I think I did enough arguing in the action episode. Again, watch that. But uh, to give good points, it's a simple premise that hasn't been completely fucked up, like Six Underground or anything Transformers. It's just them robbing a bank and getting in an ambulance and their shenanigans. To that point, I think that the movie can feel like it drags because it's just a continuous chase. But what's contained within the scenes of just people driving or people like bring the ambulance in now is definitely the most valiant. I'm not going to say the best character work, but at least the best attempts at character work,
Mm-hmm.
which is something new. Yeah, I would say. Dude's got 15 movies. Oh, by the 15th, I should start making characters, which I think is probably a step in the right direction. I just think that outside of the core main character crew, that this movie is as bad, if not in some ways worse than the. But what when this movie centers on what it's supposed to be centering on, it is good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal, Yaya Abdul-Mateen II, and Isaac Gonzalez all give like pretty solid performances. Jake Gyllenhaal, like he's definitely a standout because he's just like so fucking over the top. Like in some ways, and like so subdued in like other ways. He has some of my favorite lines out of any character since probably Nicolas Cage from The Rock. Um,
Yeah, no, those are probably the two most quotable for different reasons.
yeah. Not super predictable either. Like there are some scenes that that I was like kind of surprised that like one thing happened or the other without going into like too many spoilers because this is your list. Uh, yeah, I thought for the most part I thought this was well suited, and I'm hoping that this movie is like a lesson for Michael Bay to try to make movies that are more character focused or just have like generally just better stories that aren't just isn't just
At
CGI
least
overload.
at least balance characters with set pieces better, because I think the biggest thing is he's an action director, not a character study writing guy.
True.
But I know what a great term. But almost every movie, especially in those lower tiers, runs into an issue where it fails to balance whatever characters with whatever action. I mean, all the Transformers movies, people are mostly going there to see the giant robots, and generally those are the better parts. But you have to deal with Sam or you have to deal with Cade for Six Underground and 13 hours. The action can be pretty good, but it's underscored by character work that has to be half baked because there's such a time the time frames allotted for action are so immovable that that any depth is surface level.
Mm-hmm.
Ambulance at least manages to have the action, the thrills, while the characters are doing things. That's the biggest compliment I'll ever give this fucking movie.
Okay, I'll take
It
that.
doesn't it's not as I guess like stratified between what will please an audience or what will please audiences versus what will please the members of an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And for that I can respect it at least above most of the other ones. I mean, hell, the only movies I think that do that nearly as well, which is taking the character motivation development and slotting that logically within action, it's probably Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2.
Yeah, I agree
I
for
mean,
the most part.
I like The Rock, but they're almost all the character work is separate from the action. It's still fun, but even there, I think you can see that it's not the same as Ambulance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely think this movie could be improved like some spots. Like the drone shots were kind of nauseating, and there was just like, uh, yeah, as you said before, just like some of the characters were just like annoying slash didn't need to be there. But like as it stands, it's just like a movie that I do enjoy, and if I were being the tier list, I'd probably put like second or third. But I think I'm willing to settle on the ambulance tier in between Amusing but Flawed and Mid Bay.
If I had access to the original tier list, I actually was going to create an Ambulance tier.
It's
So
just an
that's why I
anomaly
was
of a
so
film.
happy we finally made it.
Yeah.
It's something else, all right. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely in the top two ambulance based movies called Ambulance or whatever.
Yeah. Uh. All right.
Not
Now that
like
we
I've seen
finished
the
that,
other.
um, what spots would you like to change, or should we change for the to get our official Michael Bay movie ranking? I
All right, I would put Six Underground at the top of Not Very Good.
maybe I would definitely put it above the trans. Yeah, you know what? I'll put it there. It's good enough, or quote unquote good
It
enough
actually
to
had
be.
entertaining things, unlike fucking Armageddon.
Yeah. Um.
Um, and I would probably put Transformers at the top of mid, like tier three. I mean,
Yeah, I would probably agree with
at
that as
least
well.
there's some value in the stupidity. The Island in 13 Hours is just fucking boring.
There's something to it. It's not something
And
particularly great, but there's something to it.
I would say everything else is a bad place.
Yeah, I think it's
Unless you have any extra compliment.
um no, I think it's pretty good for the most part. Uh yeah, obviously like some I wanted this to be like an official Baycast ranking, and I think this is a good job at it. So yeah, this is our official Michael Bay movie ranking, months in the making. I hope you like it. Sorry for some of the technical issues from this episode. For some reason, my Wi-Fi just sucked today, but I think it should be fine. Past edit. Um,
Wishful thinking.
yeah, it is wishful thinking, and it'll be fine. I'll just upload it to the YouTube. It'll be fine. Uh,
Tube.
so upload it to the tube. Um, yeah, I think this is pretty good.
I'm decently satisfied with this end result.
Yeah,
But with one end comes another beginning because we are, as the final deeds of the Baycast, going through a selection of movies either directly produced by or generally related to things Michael Bay before we a call it a deal.
before we kick the bucket.
Before we die, is that when Michael Bay actually kills us?
No, I think we were birthed on this earth to make Baycast, and when it ends, we will
Our
go back
lives will be
into it.
fulfilled.
Yeah.
Why not?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
join us next
should
week.
I reveal the roadmap or
You know what? Not quite yet. Join us next week for a very special
okay?
surprise episode.
By next week, we mean whenever the
Yeah,
technology
next week.
works.
Yeah,
It's not
it was.
necessarily next week. Don't
Yeah,
fucking yell at
this
me.
wasn't technically next week. It was like
I
almost 2 weeks later.
cannot
That's
be
fine.
held responsible for this.
No, this was my fault. I will admit that.
No, I
Most
mean I cannot be held responsible for next week either.
most of the Baycast episodes technically that have like had some slight technical issues have been my fault. I will admit that. I'm amateur as fuck. I will say that.
Yeah, like I'm exactly professional either. I don't even know how to use streaming shit.
Yeah. But this is just for fun, and if we make 2 cents for this whole thing, then it's all worth it. Even though that's not how
That's
YouTube
our
works
two
anymore.
cents on Michael
Yeah.
Bay's filmography. Boom.
Oh, that's a perfect way to end it. See you guys next week or whenever we upload. See you guys.
Thank you.